Welcome to my week 3 video, and we're just gonna start with the questions. The first one was, how should general education teachers be prepared with more students with disabilities integrating into the classrooms? And there were kind of 3 options given, or 3 options said, and it was pre-service training, provided on-the-job training, and being dual certified. And I think being dual certified would be helpful also with getting a job, but it might just be like they might not completely understand, or like they'll go through being dual certified, but they might not really have the passion to teach students with disabilities. And then on the job training, I think that might be a lot to put on a teacher already, because they already have to deal with their students on an everyday basis and make new lessons and their assignments. So I think also giving them on the job training would be a lot to do. So I think my preference for out of these 3 would be pre-service training, because at that time you're already studying how to become a teacher in different ways to better yourself, so you can learn more and know different ways to make your classroom more fun, or like better, and for the students and for you. So I think doing it during pre-training would be better, so you can have you can think, oh, I could do this for general education, but then now also thinking about students with disabilities, you can see how they can overlap during your training and see, oh yeah, that would be a good idea to do this, because it can do it for both. And the second question was, what are your thoughts on inclusion, and do you support full inclusion more or partial inclusion? I really like the idea of inclusion, especially for those students with not as severe disabilities. Having the ability for them to be fully integrated in a classroom, I think, would be really, really useful for them, so they could go forward in their education, and having peers that they can use as examples. Maybe they're wondering, oh, how can I do this? And then they'll look in the classroom and see examples of it, hopefully good examples of it. And also having their peers there, because they can also be great teachers for them as well. And I think for those with more severe disabilities, I think being able to have the partial inclusion, I think for them would be a lot better. So I think, in my opinion, I like partial inclusion more, because it takes in consideration like those with severe disabilities that really do need that one-on-one time to help them become better students and have better like communication skills and behavioral skills. I think they might need that support, so I think partial inclusion is better. And for the third question is, when you think of differentiative instruction, what challenges do you think general education teachers might face? And in our book, I had examples on page 73, and one of the examples was designing multiple lessons, and I think that would be a challenge for teachers, to try and have a lesson for all 3 groups constricted into the amount of time that they would just use one lesson for all their students. So I think trying to have each group have their own amount of time that they can fit into one class lesson would be difficult, because some might not, because the ones that are higher than average, they will probably get the information really quickly, but those that are average and below average, they might not get it as much. So maybe a teacher would spend too much time on those students rather than also helping those that are above average, because they need to be pushed even further than even though they are so even though they might already be getting the information even better than expected. And another challenge I think would be is for the students themselves. I think having a teacher be very supportive in helping the students that are below average, pushing them to make sure that they feel not bad about themselves, because they might feel bad about themselves because they can probably tell that they are below average and they need extra help. Helping them make sure that it's okay that they're below average and actually push them to go to into average, like to get to the next group, because I think they might not feel good about themselves. So I think a challenge would be pushing students to try and excel to get to the next group. And those are my thoughts.